have become zombies. We are walking and they are dead, but no one cares.
And still, we cry. Liberia will rise. Liberia will rise. But how? How can we improve the life we are living when our prayers are falling in some trash can up in heaven? We have silenced the sound of guns,
but our self-hate is more deadly than bullets. We have trusted in the law of the land, but we have never found change in the Bible.
We say,
one nation, indivisible, but in the eyes of the masses, this land is invisible. For 200 years, we've sat and waited for better days, but we must find a better way to add value to the lives we live when our minds can make the hustle big, if not now,
dead bread,
if not us,
dead poor. In this land of broken promises, the voices of the masses can send the voices of the masses can send echoes of hope from the slum communities to public offices and across the seashores. The need for change must not be ignored. We can be better than Miami, not even like it, but the question is,
do we even believe it? The quest to create a better Liberia must stop our to-do list. But to do this, we must stop complaining and start planning. Whether you see a winter market or own a supermarket, we can find what are broken in the system and fix them. We don't need to be ministers to preach a message of change.
You don't need to win a seat in the house to clean your home. This nation doesn't need a new head of state,
but a new state of mind to define our walk by our past. It's like aborting our dream without ever getting to see it.
The beat of our hearts is the future generation knocking on the doors of our lives telling us,
you can do better.
And we must believe like my Valley boy who was learning trade to add value to his life.
Like my Yana boy who has realized that going to the woods to get high doesn't take him from grass to grace. We are not tomorrow's people. Our time is now. And we are a mustard seed generation. We are built to mold gold out of sand, to rise above every circumstance. If we can't triumph out of trials, no more will hardship try us. So we must search for smiles and make cries to move from grass to grace. This is the price we have to pay.
And with joy and gladness, we will one day shout, this too is Liberia. This too is Liberia. This too is our nation using its natural resources to reap supernatural harvest. This too is the love of our land spreading across party lines. This too is the day we bury that demonic slogan. If it can't be me,
it can't be you.
This too is Kavala, flowing with pride among the rivers of Africa.
This too is the lone star shining bright
and powerful and taking the power of evolution. This too is Liberia. Thank you.
Wow. Let's increase it. This too is Liberia. Yeah. They say we cannot even be like Miami, but we can be better than Miami. This too is Liberia. Wonderful. Thanks to the both of you. Oh, what an evening. Thank you so much. At this stage, we will sit quietly to listen to the author's testimonies from Reverend Toklo Landfall, Pastor Ever Baptist Church, Anthony Samuel Kofi Woods, and our Mother, Councilor Pierre Brambo. Councilor Brambo. I like that.
Good evening to all, and we are glad to be here. The first name is Troka. It's a Bassa name, but I'm not Bassa. Okay, but I'm glad to be here, and when I knew this program was planned for today, I was planning to come and be a part of it. And Lavella and myself had spoken. And I thought about our childhood and said, I could say something about Rodney, reflecting on our childhood and what he's become today. And then, a few days after, I received a text from him and asked me to do this very thing. So I think it's all in the right direction. We grew up on A.B. Tower Road, Painesville. Much of our time in school, in the neighborhood, regular kids. And the neighborhood we grew in, all of our parents were our parents. They taught us morals, they could discipline us, and they set high standards. Growing up as young children, we grew up with competition, always having a standard of excelling as the best. Whether it was football, it was basketball. Rodney was a goalie for us. He used to like money, but whenever they scored 2 goals, he would walk off the field and go home. And I wonder if he made it up to the professional level, whether he could stand behind Harry Maguire. But the fact is, we grew up together, played together, wanted to be the best dancer, the best footballer, best basketballer, highest jumper. We just wanted to raise a standard. All of our work, whether it was in school or in the neighborhood, had a different twist during the war. And during the war, Rodney and I spent a lot of time together. It was a touching and life-changing moment, a terrible moment. After the rebels had hit our community, every member of the neighborhood was finding the safest place to live. And we stayed on A.B. Tower Road, and was among the last people. I think we left Rodney and his uncle at the house, and later on they came on Duper Road. But when we regrouped on Duper Road, we made a plan to go back. We didn't like life on Duper Road, so we went back to A.B. Tower Road, and there were hardly many persons living there. It was almost like living in the jungle. And many times the fighters would come, look around and stuff. I remember one time this fighter came and took Rodney and myself all the way 12 houses, looted the houses, put the suitcases on our head and said, take us around Watchtower. So we took the suitcases, went to Watchtower. After 6 o'clock, he told us to go home. We said, but they got curfew. After we go home, other fighters don't know us. He just go say, CEO, and say, oh my God. They will not bother. While walking, we passed by the Methodist church, somewhere in that Methodist church. And one guy is standing, whether he was really a fighter, he didn't have gun. He's standing right at the entrance. I said, General, okay. We didn't know who he was, so we obeyed. We went, and he started asking us questions. Wow, I was afraid. And every question he asked me, I would answer. And one day, Rodney didn't want to comply. Rodney wasn't sure the guy was even a fighter. So he told me, he said, you go. Remember, stay here. At that point, I didn't want to go, but I didn't want to stay either. And Rodney is there. He's angry. And I'm walking and looking behind, but I don't want to walk too fast and not too slow to be in his sight. After that, he told Rodney to go. Rodney said, I ain't sure I got to fight. I got to get one of the play you something. Me, I was Johnny Rebel. Nobody do anything to me. The person he is, he sees Liberia needs redemption. I love what the kids did. It summarized our plight as a nation. People lost their lives, people suffered, people went through difficulties. I think his fight today is to reveal that Liberia can be better. But if we strive for that cause, if we live for something rather than falling for everything. And I think with all of the difficulties, happy times, sad times in our childhood, Rodney has risen to a high level. of directing a nation, calling politicians and state actors to attention that those who lost their lives, those who suffered at the hands of rebels, didn't do it just because they were unfortunate, but because we built a culture for ourselves that we don't stand for anything. We don't believe anything. We only look at today, eat, drink, and be merry. Tomorrow we die. But there is a future that being lost. God bless you.
The next speaker is Anthony Samuel Kofi. At least 5 minutes will be okay.
Soyinka said many times that books and all forms of writing have always been the object of terror to those who seek to suppress the truth. I come here for several reasons. One, to celebrate my friend, my fiercest critic, my client, and the guy who always gave me all kinds of warning, Rodney Sieh. I'm proud of Rodney. Being his lawyer is not an easy thing. Very difficult. Because Rodney will act before he consults you. And when he finished acting, then he say, "Oh, my man, trouble coming. Yeah, do something about it, a lot of trouble." But seeing Rodney in the civil law court with his pillow and determined to go to jail, I was joking with Rodney. I said, "Rodney, these times are not the time of Abapun, my friend. Abapun used to have his mind. You got your pillow to go in that central prison. I feel that easy." But Rodney said to me, "I will go there. I'm prepared to go there. If that's what it will cost me, I'm prepared to go there." And suddenly Rodney went there. We journeyed through that and worked very hard. And Rodney still remained dedicated and committed to the truth. But Rodney will always post something on me. As Minister of Public Works, I didn't know Rodney had his house right around the police academy swamp. And Rodney would call me and say, "My man, something happening on Police Academy Road." I said, "What happened?" He said, "Look, my man, some guy passed a resolution. Hey, if you do something about that road, it will not be easy." I didn't know Rodney has a right to the tip of the road in the swamp. Every day he was talking about the Police Academy Road. Or there's somebody pin you out there and say your man house down there, you want road to go there, your house, that's why you see it. He put all that trick on you about you do something. But I'm so happy that Rodney has come this far. But Rodney has done something. His pursuit of the truth. He's a soldier of the pen. And he must be celebrated by all of us in this room and outside this room. And let the word go forth to many young people that if you don't stand for anything, you fall for everything. And this is Rodney. Rodney continues to struggle on. The evidence of this is his courageousness. The fact that he can indulge in undertaking and writing an unofficial, unauthorized biography of a sitting president says a lot about Rodney. And in Rodney's writing, he is not just subjective about the realities, but he allows you to who he's writing about. It's about his courage, his commitment to the truth. And this is what we must celebrate in Liberia. This is a rare gem to find in our country. And so we must celebrate him. So Rodney, As always, I stand with you, I stand by you, and join you in this commitment to the truth. As a defender, as a soldier of the pen, you are armed with the pen, and I urge you to go forth. We will continue to support you and your work. Thank you for giving this gift to our people, giving this gift to Liberia, and to generation yet unborn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Wu. I'm not sure you have done our role fast. How would it? Rodney said to you that his house was somewhere around that. So you were trying to play around it, making it look like as a minister, signatures were being gathered and that if you didn't do the role, it would be, and he was talking to you as a publisher, making you to believe that probably the next few days you will be in the papers for all the wrong reasons. That was strategic. Before Auntie-Per comes out, you ready for it? Okay, Auntie-Per, let's get to that. Thank you. Thank you. Please give her. Hi.
If you look at me, you all remember.
You starting now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know you must be one of those radio people, eh? Yeah, so you all know me. And you see, once he knew we were coming to talk, he put minutes on it. And he right away he was talking with somebody like me. But if you look, they talk about childhood days. I met Rodney, now he's got up glasses. For those who remember, 10 years ago, this is how Rodney used to wear the shades. So today I put on the Rodney shades and I tried to look 10 years, it was 10 years ago. August 21st, 2013. 10 years ago. So our 3 score then, now 3 score and 10. Well, Rodney, you see how I look, eh? So the past told me anything, and my friend, I beg you. Rodney never ceased to surprise me, just like I would surprise him. This book, when I heard about it, he was in town, I called him. I didn't know my name on testimony here, I just wrote my name going right here. So it's short. I called him and said, Rodney, I saw you on those foreign people thing there, and writing a book here for George Weah. You in town now, where is this book? He said, Enterprise, I put on a lunch here. I said, bring it. So for I think a week or so, he brought my book. For my darling Enterprise book. It was just today I went there to say put it there. And I can tell you, I have read this book all through tonight. Yeah, all here. And this is what I want first to put a caveat to your Liberia. To play the game, you can learn the rules. But when you know the agenda, don't get involved. Because this book, when you see the need or the people inside, what they did, the role, who told the president to run, who behind him, you can see now when they go close to the man, they inside the book. Coffee was giving you inside. To be vice presidential candidate or president. Yeah, yo. The voyeurs there, they hear. Actually, the two of them who wrote the article corporation all yo. Actually, we told you for small. So I encourage every one of y'all to read a book here. Then you will know the agenda. Then you will know how to go about like bureau politics, different from what you read in the textbook where the white people wrote. I am glad, so actually I'm going to take this book off because I will be able to see it. I'm glad to be here today and happy, Rodney, you braved the storm to write Africa's first football president. The fact that people do something great, that all Liberians should be great. The day I read this book and writing people would dare to go in this current political discourse heading into the October 10, 2023 election in Liberia. In this book, which I read from beginning to end, I can clearly say Rodney, that Rodney put his heart and soul into telling this story without fear or favor. In this book, Rodney has documented the story of Africa's first football president. He documented the good, the bad, and the ugly about our president. I've heard a lot of stories about how this book is controversial. Some of Rodney's critics say he wrote the book because of his dislike of President George Weah. Others say he wrote it as a public relation tool for President Weah's re-election. I have seen Rodney work at first hand. He does not sugarcoat, nor does he kiss anyone AC squared. He's no sycophant. And like his grand uncle, Albert, he tells it as it is and how it should be told. Oh man, that day, when you say I won't be a rebel, you told him not to go take the gun. But he became a rebel with a cause. He's a rebel with a cause. You understand? So these people who write the premature statements is my little boring now. Come don't let me down. Okay, yeah. He is no sycophant. Yes, I said that. I met Rodney August 21st, 2013. Here I see Kofi Woods, you start on it. We were a lawyer. Cardi, T-Max. Those are the people. He was then at his lowest profession in his career. They had put him, carried him to jail, carried him to the court, to put him in prison for 5,000 years. Because Liberian people don't read, they know nothing. They know what's going on. And Rodney is not the first time you talk about Opon. That's what these people don't know. In his book, and you gave an interview, and I encourage you not to just read this book, but read this book too. It's still on the market. You see a lot of people doing anytime where anyone did, what the other people did, and not only that. His book, now that some of these books I see around here, everything he taught, he put a footnote and where he from. And in this book, he met Weah, George Weah. That time it was this man before Judy Bryant. And I learned something. All the presidents, most of the presidents, they don't let the press people ask their question and send it to them. But when he wanted to talk to George Weah, before he became president, he broke here when Judy Bryant was there in America. He didn't ask. That is in the observatory. And George Weah went there and he just talked. That the time the man wanted to be the thing. And you read the book with note as Alisa Diva. They're supposed to talk about, you know, man talking, opinion, we need a story. Salisa Diva and board charge. Well, the first he told, I won't be president. Then the other person who pushed him was actually Bona. So, I want to say, the story in jail, and they carried him that day. Because they never read this book, when they carried him, Kofi Woods started it. He when he and my real wearing a blue cap. Went to the judge because they want to put him in jail. He had no money for bond. And I walked him in there. And I said, Your Honor, I stand for him. I knew he didn't have the money, but I will pay him. So you use a technique, all politicians. I say what, Counselor? You got money? I say, yes, Your Honor, my need. It's my bond. I'm signing of the Constitution of Liberia. I'm a member of the INA with the TRC boys. First elected president, TRC, United Party, when I started, he said, I said, Your Honor, all I just want you to put him in my custody and to borrow, if he can bring that money, you can put him in jail. So the judge, I just signed the paper. So that's why I say you gotta have money, but if you got opinion and trust in yourself. And Rodney and so, when he went with Casa, I said, now you know Rodney, what you do? All the people who you know in there, or what they pay, let them know they can't you to jail tomorrow. Because we got his money. So the next day, all the press people were there. All the international wire Mr. Lee were going away to go get some war in India or somewhere. Man, when Rodney stepped in with his, he went in coffee war, a lawyer, a rare lawyer. But if you look into 212, he talked about me. Just how he failed to talk, to let me know I was supposed to talk to him, my friend, because all the things you never read. I signed that paper. 10 the people had those police people there with all this stuff here, over 100 were up there. Man, so I said, Your Honor, I no money also, I surrender the man. So the people waiting in a place there for Rodney now, to the place there like this. Those soldiers, people, those police people had decided to carry me to a side so to go. When I said, Your Honor, I surrender the man, they say, well, he passport. I said, just take your passport for me now, I got the money. Man, when the soldiers keep police to carry to the Joachim in the order, I said, they carry him out to jail and to the other way. Everybody ran outside. Yeah. They said he was not going. They told me to get testimony, so, but the man, yeah, I get ready to go to my seat, but they let him go. When they carried him to jail, the people didn't want Rodney to go to jail. He had to come outside and say to them, people, you all leave it because Sister Clyde, you don't go people in jail. Now I just trying to waddle with the Sister Clyde. I have gone to the prison compound and standing there waiting for the time. Rodney, he said, you all leave it. I will go to jail. Rodney, I think they told me in the back of the pickup. I said, well, they told me in the back of the pickup. And they carried him. I was there to the prison compound. He said he on stronger strike. I said, Rodney, strike? You think any day will take them or take you out of their jail or where you are talking for a chair or something? You talk about strike, hunger strike? He said you on hunger strike. So I have my little water. You didn't put in the book. I have a bottle of water. And I said, Rodney, I said, at least they have a strike and you think that 2 or 3 days. But I didn't get live on water, they say 40 days. When he said, and then I went out, I took the bottle of water, I squeezed the water, and on day 1. He went in there, they didn't want to eat on strike. He carried them working good food, the man he won't eat at 3 days. I'm counting how many days he can stay without food. I will go talk to him. He won't eat hunger strike. They go this. I said, well, Rodney, and I'll tell you, at least I didn't water. You stomach 14 days, you can take it. If we are looking too good, so before food weighs that better was So I am happy to be here today. And Rodney, you talk in almost 6 years since President Joe and this man been in power. And the people still haven't understood what's about him. The Liberian people still struggling to characterize the love President Weah has for Liberia. For Rodney love for all things Liberian, is demonstrated in this book. So I want y'all to read it, and from your lowest pit, you see, you need that. The people who know you are to your lowest end. In fact, Rodney, why were you in the hospital there? One day he said, you know, when I told the minister of state for presidential friend of me, I said, you're sitting out here that day when crazy. So you're very busy. So thank you, you did die, and you live now. Very active. For becoming an international award-winning journalist and best-selling author. So now, as I take my seat, I hope I can get there with all four of you. I'll take my chair for taking yours. And you have seen it like, thank you, I'm your auntie, and we always.
Thank you, Auntie for the good, the bad, and the ugly. He said, you give me 10, you standing, you don't read it, boy. Call me brave. Well, at this stage, we welcome Liberia's female scout, MC Carol, to do our thing before we can move on. MC Carol, welcome in the building.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. What's up, my people? Yeah. Let's get it. Let's go, man. Let's go. Hey. Let's go. One time. Say it. One time. I said, hey, Carol. Hey, Carol. What? Let's see, Carol. Hey, I said, and I know what I'm doing. I want to know what I'm doing. And I know who said it. And I hear it said, and I know what I'm doing. I want to know what I'm doing. And I know who said it. Say what? ready? Are you ready? Let me see. Somebody got to say the better one than all. Somebody talking say the better one than us. But when something happen that we don't want to get caught, they say the better one than us. They say the better one than us. But when something happen, I said, give it to me. When something happen, I said, when something happen, they say the better one than us. They say the better one than us. Somebody talking say the better one than us. Mahagala, they say the better one than us. But when something happen, 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 that we the one that can call. I said, God is there. And he's there. And guess what? I want to young captain. I don't know about you. Say, I don't talk to you. Listen, I don't work for you. Let me tell you say, even if you double your sack. Thank you so much, thank you so much. Big love to everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you. Put that hand for MC Carol. MC Carol. Even if you double yourself, you can't fail my shoe. Come in, baby. Oh yes, thank you so much. Thank you, MC Carol. At this juncture, we have introduction of discussion with the author, but it will be done by Liberia's Journalist of the Year and the Chief of Front Page Africa's newsroom, journalist Lennon Dulu. Put your hands together for him. Call me baby. And you speak. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to once again welcome you all to the launch of the unofficial biography of George Weah by Rodney Sieh. I mean, this is a special moment for us as we all here have gathered to celebrate this remarkable book. As we delve into the world of His Excellency George Weah, President of the Republic of Liberia, it is important for us to acknowledge the author, Rodney Sieh. Mr. Sieh is a renowned Liberian journalist who has worked tirelessly in making sure that this book comes to a fruition. He has dedicated his career and his life, I can say, to nothing else but uncovering the truth. That is why his expertise is invaluable when it comes to telling the story of George Weah. Tonight, we have the pleasure of hosting an interaction, I would love to call it, not a panel discussion, that will delve into the themes and the issues of this book. It is with great esteem that I introduce to you the moderators of this interaction, Mr. Julius Sieh, a renowned Liberian journalist, the host of the OK Conversation, one of the most listened to talk shows in Liberia, and also Mr. Timas Schlatter, the host of the famous 50-50 show. Mr. Schlatter is a veteran Liberian journalist and of the Sky Communications Incorporated. To discuss the life and times of George Weah, as well as explore the wider issues raised in the book. We encourage you all to participate in the discussion, as we hope that tonight's event will inspire you to read this book and engage with the issues at hand. So without much ado, I will now turn over to the moderators and the author. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Please bear with me, I'm going to be as blunt as possible. The book is entitled The Unofficial Biography of President Weah. I was reading through the book and I get to this point of the book, looking at the character of George Weah. It was said by one boy child who was called Unofficial. He said in a quote, at the airport in Geneva, George intervened that he wanted to be president of the People's Republic of Liberia. He'll never recall. As startled as he was, Jonathan told George, it is a laudable thought, but it requires serious preparation. It's a good thing to want to be president of the People's Republic of Liberia, but it requires serious preparation. Because because you will be making decisions that will affect the lives of unborn children that will lead Liberia tomorrow. You know, when doctors make mistakes, one or two persons die. When a policeman commits, but when there is a coup d'etat, this book is being thought of by a lot of us. Why such a book as such? A lot of guys told me that your friend Rodney writing down a book because he won't be able to be president. He wrote that book because he gave Rodney money to promote him so that he will be president in 2023 for the second time. Rodney's here. Rodney's here. Why did you write this book?
Good evening. Liberia has a rugged history of civil war, and a lot of our friends, aunts, schoolmates, classmates we went to school with, all of them died in civil war because of greed and corruption. And when my friend took on after that one that after his brother died, I felt like going through the war and being alive today is a blessing. And I think I'm alive because I wrote this book not out of curiosity, but I was urged to write it by a friend. I had lunch in the downtown DC, and we went to the New York Times, and she said, I did a book about Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. I think you should write this book because you're in Liberia, you follow this president, I think she's the right person to write it. I didn't just took out the people when you're talking off the record, but I decided not to go with them because I don't want the book to be yes say or they say. I want to make sure that I tell a story that Liberians will be proud of. And I wanted to tell a story that will be unique in a way that speaks truth to power. And many of the things that we see happening today is not new. It happened decades ago. The same thing keeps happening. And on April 12, 1980, they executed 13 members of President Thomas' government because of corruption. And that day, I was still a little boy going through my younger years, and I saw things happening. I witnessed the April 14 rights riot, 5 elections. I've seen things. And I think that for us to progress as a nation, we need a. And that's why I took on this task. It took me 4.5 to 5 years to write this book. And I did a lot of interviews, a lot of research, a lot of investigation. I put my heart and soul into it to make sure that it represents, know that this book has the name George Weah, but it's about every president who's led this nation. Have happened, continue to happen. People are still stealing government money. People are still doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. And they're still making the same mistakes that happen today. About the president. And it's all about how. I don't want to tell a story that will be boring. That will be something. I want to tell a story that was relatable to people, to understand, where this country is coming from and where it's going. The reviews so far have been great. There are people who will be who they are. They will think that you're one-sided or you're against somebody. But it's about how you tell your story. 100 years from now, I'll be dead and gone. But what's in the book will stand the test of time. I'm proud of that.
Okay. It feels good being here as the youngest person on this panel, one who has experimented with writing and is still experimenting. So you have inspired me as well to continue along the path of writing. But just a follow-up to the motivation behind the book, the title, which has within the unofficial biography, don't you think it has to take away in terms of believability, in terms of the credibility of the book and all of that? Those are some of the things that others will be concerned about. What do you say to them?
Well, lots of official biographies have been written by people, and official biographies have been written by people about other people. The reason this one is unofficial is because the president did not get the consent to write it. But the last time I checked, and actually when he told me no, he wasn't ready, it gave me the motivation to write because I needed a new challenge. And as writers, as journalists, you're always looking for new challenges. I don't think there's ever been a case where a journalist wrote a book about sitting this challenge. And that's why I wrote the book the way I wrote it, because I wanted people to see the group of George Weah when he's playing football, the bad of him when he was dealing with his relationships with people that played with him, and the ugly of the governance issues that's going on in the country right now. So those three dimensions are something that I think we should go into.
Okay, let's go to the book. The book has many characters. I was reading it and you said something about man Kamara. Kamara saw George Weah then, according to Rodney's collection, was playing for Maribor. And he recruited us here. Tell us the story because there's an intriguing following. On Georgia. So let me go to Salala and see one minute there. Where Mr. Henry's theory and so on was being crazy. Tell us that story about the medicine man, Camara, who recruited Georgia and went to Bonga to Salala to get a sheep to get medicine for Georgia to be what Georgia is in the playing game.
Well, when I set out to write this book, one of the first people I talked to was Mr. Kamara, and I was pointed in his direction by someone very close to the president. You know, when you're writing about a sitting president, people are afraid to talk, but they won't mind guiding you into directions. And he came to me, I met him in Cape Hotel, and he was limping. And I had no idea it would be the last time I would be seeing him. He died last. About for this book is like he was one of those who were at the house when Benjamin Gittin others attacked the house. I say to say that people say, oh, why now? Why not now? You have people who are getting old every day. We're all gonna die one day. If I'm a journalist, gets to speak to people who I like, they may be in an old age, but they can tell me something that I can document for future generations. I'm not gonna let go. And Ome Kamara taught me about things that happened when nobody knew George Weah. He used to like play for IE, but IE never liked him. He was in Barrow. I didn't want to pay for him, so he had to find a way to get into IE. And someone said, well, go to Ome Kamara, he's the king or the medicine man for the team, he can help you. And when he went to Ome said, are you sure you want to play football for IE? He said, yes. He said, a lot of young boys come here, they want to play, but they can't play. They just play, smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol and stuff, And George said, just give me a chance, I will prove to you. And he did. And in that house in Jacobstown, that's where all of the great Liberian footballers play. James Sadiba, Paul Charles, Weah, Joe Nambi, everyone passed through that house. And all of them passed through Ome Kamara. So that's why I think this first chapter is very important because it gave a glimpse of how this all started. And the relationship between them, between Dave Ome Kamara, what he did for George Weah, encouraging him. Like for example, there's a part in the book where, in the chapter where George was like, he could play, he could dribble, but he had no stamina. So the old man heard about Guinea, in next to Guinea, there was a coach who was out of a job. Go and get Stoli to bring to Liberia. And Stoli took George on his wing and told him run around his house every day for 50 times. And Stoli would tell him, this boy's lazy, let him running. And they told him, said, look, you see Roger Miller, you see Maradona, those are big stars then. You have the potential to be like them, but you're too lazy. And that's how the process began. And this chapter sets the pace for what follows in the book as the good football side of the story.
So let's go to Paul Charles. There are two major characters. Paul, and all of a sudden, some controversy, some competition. There's some book I was reading this morning that said, I spoke on us, sister, Thelma. It's in the book. You put it in the book. And Boy Child was going to tell me. Boy Child said in his book, which I'm proud of. More mind. The girls. Good being so nice. Good care, but you never had any relationship. Nobody will lie to you. in Bocha up to today. But interestingly, when he wanted to become president, the first guy he told was Bocha. You cannot put that story.
Yeah, I was surprised during interviews. I found that story out because I had no idea that, you know, if you read the chapters, the early chapters in the book, they were very and so when Bocha said he came to him to ask him, not for permission, it was shocking. And he said, this is no child's play, you know, this is, you know, you're leading the whole country, and you should be very mindful of what you're getting yourself into. Are you sure you're ready for this? And I think that question and that passage in the book is very important because of what's happening today. Why you have to go to the beginning and talk to the beginning and talk about it? You have to understand the beginning of someone's life to comprehend in this book.
Okay. In that case, that will bring me to the character formation, the psychology of a person. So, looking at the George Weah now and the George Weah then, and all of what you've spoken to different characters in the book, if you're able to say about him, how will you characterize him as a person? Does he still hold on to certain attributes of yesteryears, even in his presidency?
In other words, is the book, what the book says about George? Totally.
Yeah, because there are people in the book that I spoke to who have no relationship with him today. They don't speak to him, he don't speak to them. And I think part of the psyche of his thinking is that because you didn't believe in him then, and he became who he became. And I think Jonathan Somby had that experience with him because he doubted he could become president. James Harris had the same problem. If you read the chapter of his experiences in the book, how he and George had the butt heads, and in the end, when he became president, he just shut James Harris out. Relationships, even when in 2011, sometimes they would go to George to go on campaign, he would have it ready, he would be sleeping or having fun. And those define, and Tubman told me about it. And the reason these things are because people have to understand that it's not about the subject in this book. It is also about our country as a nation and how we elect and who we elect. Book is something that should serve as something that dissects the president we have, and it shouldn't be seen as someone attacking anyone. I knew I was venturing into some rugged territory when I set this project. I knew there would be doubters, there would be critics. I knew what I was getting into. But in order for you to break new boundaries, you have to define yourself and let the world deal with it. Don't allow them to deal with, Jim Baldwin once said, don't allow them to deal or define you in their terms. Let them define you what your terms you create.
Now, talking about that attribute of, let's say, a laissez-faire approach to some key things. It is mentioned in one of the chapters here. That's chapter Regional Divisions. There is somewhere that he talks about, okay, that's chapter 21, where we are supposed to sign some multi-million deal with a promotional deal with a Korean investor that's in Paris, and it's supposed to happen at 10:30 at a hotel in Paris, and he's nowhere to be found. And later on to realize that he had gone to Milan to sign his contract for $8 million, when that deal had been worth over $300 million. And he has a for I am finding it difficult to understand how does someone like $300+ million go away for an $8 million deal.
The Goodreads chapter is important because I think a couple of weeks ago there was something in the press.
I was not able to go to that story too.
Yeah, because and that's what I'm talking about, documenting history. George and Goodreads were very good friends during the Taylor years. And they were business partners, if you look at and he would travel to Paris to see George playing. And even the last game that George played, he said, when they heard that he was going to Milan, the fans were angry. And they were even referring to him as the nigger, and that was disappointed he was leaving. So I think part of the reason of him doing that was because he and George had a relationship. And he was disappointed that the deal didn't go through, but like he said, and like Goodreads pointed out, that he was waiting for George almost the whole day to come. He never came until he came later in the afternoon. So even his wife Claire was also aware of the meeting and all that. So it just tells you like things that were happening that people didn't know about. If you didn't know that story, when this thing broke out last week about he and Goodreads having an issue, people now understand the background of the relationship the two of them had. So it's very I think the reason why he still holds a grudge against Goodreads, he believed that during the war, Goodreads stole his car from his house and was got burned. And I think that's why they kept going back and forth.
Okay, let's go back to the Blue Star, because that's where George Black came from. Through the message and come around. Let's go back. I can remember the days of Taylor. We went to Accra to play Ghana last time. The whole Liberians in the Bono came and cheered us on. Because I've been my second time in Accra, the game was played. And so Accra, he was just a fantastic player. The feet, fantastic player. One. And we returned to Mongolia. Creighton was in the goalkeeper Creighton. Said something as we connected the ball. And he said, well, because of lack of leadership in the Lusac here. A lot of cha-cha slide, a lot of weddings, a lot of accidents. Just give us, put us through that. Everybody wrote it. And if that's something that amounts to leadership problem, we have a hands-up game. 3, we're qualified to go to the World Cup. 1-0, the beat up, we still qualified. 3-2, we still.
Yeah, I think the night before Creighton had an accident, and he was the number one goalkeeper then. If the camp was disciplined that night, if they had been kept in one place just for one night, just have a good strong leadership that would make sure that the team was together that night before the game, everyone that won the World Cup. And that, just that one blip is one of the few times that we are never conquered the world. The World Cup.
That will take us as well to the issue about his wealth. Before becoming president, that's in chapter 15. What can you say about his wealth? Because that $8 million deal with AC Milan was an eye-opener. That some things that we thought were so huge were not as they were. What can you say about that, his wealth?
Well, I was fortunate to get counsel from a few football experts who contributed to a book on FIFA scandal. and they were able to guide me through some things, and they were able to calculate the different contracts per the job we had at the time. In those days, football didn't make the money they make now. So they were able to help me calculate everything. Like the entire time he was playing, his income didn't pass $9 million. There were not many advertising deals then, and so only what was being paid. But there was also tax issues involved. In France. And Goodrich told me that, and people don't know this, and that's why it's good.
Former President Taylor.
Yes, so Goodrich said the judge owed taxes in France. And so they needed intervention of President Taylor to help deal with that crisis. And there was a meeting, Mr. Goodrich said he was in that meeting with Mitterrand and Mr. Taylor, where the issue was brought up by George taxes, and President Taylor intervened on George's behalf at the time.
Okay, now we'll have to move speedily, but Weah is coming to the presidency, his link with Howard Taylor, the inauguration and all of that. But one of the most momentous times of Weah's presidency was in June 7. In fact, I believe that should be the biggest protest in Liberia's history, given the numbers that attended. How does this?
I think I saw Costa around here.
Yes, Costa here.
Was that gone?
So, how does this define his presidency? How did he convey during, after, and all of that?
Well, in doing this book, I thought it was important for me to go behind the psychic of the rally, of the protest. And I spoke with Costa about the day before. I think the June 7 kind of began highlighting the issues under the Weah government and raised the attention of the country and the entire world to Liberia's crisis. And I think the issue of the missing millions, reports of corruption all over the place. The June 7 protest was something that I thought was important to document, because when it comes to the governance issues raised in the book, this is where everything started. And it raises a lot of questions about the president's wealth, like how he built the mansions he built, and all of those things, what led to this protest. People were angry about what's happening in the country. And I think this chapter deals with that sufficiently.
Okay, I got two more questions, and I was going to put that one, two into one. It says, we have defined the order with a strong showing in the 2005 election. Yet, he was still an untapped politician with a lot to learn. After more than a decade of civil war triggered by corruption, greed, and bad governance, the James Desmond debacle was one of the many cruelties that caused some skeptics to have second thought about George Weah. What happened to his millions made during his footballing days? When did his investment go? Who was on the receiving end of a handouts from a character like Desmond? Follow up? You know, when we have a new president, there's a character called Nathaniel Mandela. And we're wondering, how in the world this guy was never a sedition? I follow my name along with Todman. We saw Todman was saying somebody is what I want to elaborate on that. Was Mandela who gave Todman the key to George Weah? That's how Mandela became so famous. So tie that off in his first question, and I'll close on that.
You know, there were a lot of concerns about the president's relationship with James Desmond. And I couldn't do this book without dissecting that relationship. And I was fortunate to get the court records of that case from the Staten Island Court in New York. and the details of how it went down. And because the person was on the judge was on the property when the incident happened, when the person was arrested. And introduced talking to Weah and said, look, there's somebody and showed him the ropes. The relationship began to blossom, and although they didn't hit it off in 2005, they revisited the whole relationship in 2011, and that's how we agreed to go number 2 to Winston Tubman. And the reason this chapter is important is because I wanted people to understand that there are lots of intrigues, there are lots of dynamics about the decisions people make. And we, as Liberians, we love gossips. We love to see. I want to ask the people who were involved in this interaction, who were persons, who were doing the creation of, for example, the CDC in Minnesota. I look for those key players who were around, what's happening. And these things are available. These people are available. We just have to be able to convince each other to share our stories. I remember growing up about this myth in Liberia about a guy called Wani Boto. I'm sure a lot of you heard stories about how he was on his hospital bed with drips all over him, and he borrowed Iowa plane. I think Iowa down, I think 2-0 or something, and he took the thing from his chest and ran to the football field, scored 2 goals, and went back to the hospital. That myth has been around for years. And sadly, if you Google Wani Boto today, you can find more than 2 paragraphs on the internet. Because we don't document our history. And 10 times better than George Weah. So we have to applaud. I think we have to take it step by step. And in writing something like, and sometimes you don't feel it, but someone tells you do it, and you, okay, let me try and do it. But I'm actually looking at other projects. There's a Liberian girl did something in New York some time ago. I've been trying to get to that story. It's a very emotional story for me, and I think there's a lot of issues in Liberia, like rape, female circumcision, issues that involve young girls in our country. So I'm looking at all those issues. So maybe a few years from now,
Thank you very much. That's the summary of the book. It's there for you to read the book in waiting for President Weah, time that is, waiting for the opposition, or we're just rewriting all to share the story. When you say there is that word, I said, no, private back your book because I want you to ask Rodney the question that we never asked.
So we'll take questions and answers. I know a lot of us here want to ask. We've been here too long. We'll take 6 questions. 3 from Seoul and 3 from Seoul, and we want to balance it so that it is gender sensitive. That's what we want to do. So, yep. Yeah, can we? And a woman? I see all men hands. Okay, let's take it.
See, thank you.
Okay.
but I would have loved to hear his side of some of the things that other people. But he decided not to get involved.
Yeah.
Thank you for the panel. First of all, thank you, Rodney, for the work. to read it. I think the panel was very helpful. Start the conversation. We know that even now in media distribution, there's so much content out there. So I was wondering, from a distribution perspective, are you doing more promotional things? Are you going to, universities or speaking engagement? Are you having an audio book? So that it would, the word and the message and all of what you said would reach further.
Yeah, I've been speaking to some universities. Hopefully I can get to talk to students and share the experience of the process of writing this book. The publishers are looking into the audiobook, so we should get that soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Rodney Sieh, for giving us an opportunity to read about a sitting president. As a young man, I've listened to Mr. Salensa Diba giving between him and George Weah when they were invited by Winston Totman when he expressed interest to become president of Liberia. And according to Mr. he said, while they were preparing to meet Mr. Winston Totman, Weah expressed interest to become president of Liberia. And Diba told him that it was not time for him to be president. That hurt George Weah to the core. The president sidelined George Weah immediately he became president. And Auntie Pratt said that you are not a sycophant. Would you have preferred George Weah bringing Mr. Salensa Diba in his inner cycle, even though he vehemently rejected his ambition to become president then? At the same time, I also want to add by asking, how do you, the George Weah as a person, is he a vindictive person or is somebody conscious of his personal?
I think James Diba to George. If George had not succeeded in Europe, Diba would not have been out of Liberia at the time. The likes of Kevin Sieh, the likes of Bob Charles would never be looked at because we did that. He was a flop, but he wasn't a flop. He did well, so others succeeded. I think the issue alone, but all of those who did not believe that we had become president, he didn't really take them seriously, and I don't think he should be. I'm not saying he should be in his space, but when we talk about reconciliation. Madam Sirleaf, his predecessor, did life, but I think one thing she did was she incorporated a government into the government who once said Ellen was the worst thing since sliced bread, and others who were, she brought them on board to help her. And I think you can see that was personal because Diba had a job that Ellen had given him a maritime program, and when we had one, he took that job from Diba. So it was more like does that make me vindictive? It's a judgment, but I think we all know what's happened in this country. We all know how things play out, and I think a lot of people feel that he is. A lot of people feel that he holds too much grudges against people. The lack of the Verdias, the lack of people who just didn't think he was equipped to be president. If you look at the chapter on the Minnesota meeting, the Florida meeting that created the CDC, there were people who didn't believe he could be president. And today, he and those people don't talk. So it is what it is.
Thank you very much. I wanted to ask this question first. It's a rhetorical question. You doing it for Liberia? What would be your role looking at Liberia today, ensuring that you want for Liberia to be uplifted to? What would be your role in just writing? Will you go
puzzle or chess game? It's how you put it all together. Some people are born to be politicians, others are born to be doctors, others are born to be nurses and engineers, and my calling is what I'm doing. My job and our job as journalists is to just put information out. There were people when the book came out who said, the man should cost the president, that he should say something controversial that if you read, you'll find the juice. And I can't be the one to do it for you. I can only play the chess game the way it's supposed to be played as a journalist. I've done my part. It's up to the politicians, up to the doctors, the nurses, the students to dissect what's in this book and use it to the way they want to use it. But years from now, decades from now, ages from now, everything that's in this book will prove to be true. And I believe 100% in what I wrote.
Yeah, one more is there.
Cousin Rodney, a lot of all of the accounts you've given about this book have focused on his relationships with the men. And all the public accounts that we've heard about his relationships with women have been indecorously expressed. But I'd like to hear you talk about what you have found about those relationships, about their impact, women's impact on his decision-making and his development as a person. Thank you.
Okay, so we have two more.
I did address issues about the president's life with women, and it's in detail in the book. And I know that I spoke to some of them who were not happy with what, how they were treated and stuff like that. Kids that he grew up, that he had by them. So those information, they're out there. I think people are waiting for me to say something controversial about the president's life with women to say the book is bad. But the way I operate is like, I'd rather you read and make a judgment. I don't want to be the one to tell you, go on page 9, you see the president and that girl did something X, Y, Z. So you have to read it and tell me later.
Okay. We'll take one from here and then the last one from right here.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sieh, thanks for doing this book. As you've been scanning, you talk about his family. I don't see much about his dad or his mom. And then were you able to interview his family, especially who would like to know about his family? Were you able to interview anyone of his siblings or any aunt or uncle to get some true story about that?
I was able to talk to kids of his friends who grew up watching him practice and play. In Africa it's very difficult to have people of the first family talk about what they're doing. So I reached out to the First Lady, and what I would have got on her end was an interview she did with some Jamaican station talking about relationship with Weah, and that's how I would have captured that aspect of it. The information that I found about his family, his mother and father, that are in the book, in that same chapter. So I think I should find things that the thing about Liberia is this. I specifically chose the people who came here today because I wanted you all to know how bad this country is. When I was at the lowest end of my life,
I was at the lowest end of my life, those people were there. My sister Carrie went through the prison. She'll be fighting, working tooth and nails to make sure I was out. The prison the first time I came out of the prison, out of the court. And a very prominent lawyer called me. He said, because at that point, no lawyer wanted to touch me because they were afraid of what will happen if they represent me. So I come out of the courtroom, and this lawyer tells me, I wanted to represent you, but you know how the is. If I had gone that court with you, I would not win any case in this court. A very prominent. I say this to say that Liberia is not a country where you can freely talk about a sitting president, especially if you have relations to him. They're all afraid they will be sidelined, they will be, sidestepped, or, and that was the most difficult part of writing this book. I really wanted to go deeper, in all the questions you're asking, but it was just difficult because of that thin red line we have in this country. That because my brother, my sister, my aunt owns or runs in the government, and this person is writing about them, I can't associate with them. I have very few friends. Very few friends. Some of them are here, Elias, Walter McCarthy, they're all people that I'll hang out with once in a while. My cousin Warwin is here, Lillian, Bai, and I always tell my reporters that you have to want something so badly that you'll do anything to get it. I remember the first time I wrote an editorial. My uncle, Mr. Best, I don't call him uncle among the other people because I don't want people to think I'm because of my uncle, so I said I was calling Mr. Best. And he said, I went to the office that day, he said, he looked tired, he said, Rodney, do an editorial. My first time, because it was how you learn from those who come before you. And they always taught me to persevere. People wonder why I'm so, aggressive, or why I'm arrogant, I'm stubborn. I've heard the noise, but I wanted this so badly that when I was growing up, when the Observer started, I wanted to sell newspapers. So, and I wanted to be the best newspaper boy in Liberia. And I boasted about it. I would go to school in the morning, while everybody's selling. After school, I didn't have one paper left. I would sell everybody who started before me because I built relationships with people. I go to ELBC, I have my whole team list of people to buy from me. I have my routes. If they don't see me, they won't buy it. And I really wanted to be a journalist. And because I saw Mr. Best, I saw Mr. Ports, they were in my offspring. And I wanted to be what they were, or what they are, who they are. And Mr. Best always taught me that no matter how hard it looks, it's easy. You have to put your mind to it. And when I hear people saying things about my stories or what I write, I'm one person, you will cost whoever on my story, I don't even reply to you. And I hope and pray, people say, oh, you want to be a politician? I don't want to be a politician, but I hope and pray all the politicians in this country will have a tough skin to criticism. Because if you don't have a tough skin, there will not be an April 12th. There will not be 1985. We killed 13 people in this country for corruption. April 14, the price of rice
was an issue. Today, the price of rice is 10 times what it was April 14, 1979. And I always hear about reconciliation, about how we need to reconcile the country and X, Y, and Z, but you killed those people April 12th, April 22nd. And today, in the House and the Senate, prove me wrong, there's not one American leader in there. And the corruption is 100 times more than it was then. So, to change this country, you have to be bold. And a little bit crazy, which I'm willing to be. And you cannot be fixing a country and be weak. We try to make changes. We cry for change, we cry for change. The government corrupt, the government corrupt. I remember I was a little boy sitting in my little barrel room when the national anthem played. That morning, there were the shootings. And Doe came on the radio. We're gonna end rampant corruption in Liberia. I still hear the echoes in my ear. That was yesterday. And rampant corruption in this country. Unabated. So downtown, he said some things that later became controversial about his French citizenship, about his school. And I think some of the people say I trapped him, and that's how we never. But as president, I will still do what I'm doing. Even if whoever becomes, because I'm not a politician. The club I'm from, the output, the Cannon Best, they're all inside me. This is our promise, sacrifice for this country. And you can say what you want to say for me. I'm crazy, this. Yeah, I accept it. I accept it. But if you think I'm going to change who I am, I'm not. I'm sorry. So the country will not a judgment day. I will still be who I am. I will still keep writing. I will still keep doing things. And some of my entire, I think my new shows, some of them are here. When I'm tough on you, it's because I want you to be better than I am. Because we have to keep this circle going.
Okay. One last question.
You know, there's something in this book for everybody. If you love George Weah, the footballer, then I'm pro George Weah. If you hate George Weah, the president, then I'm anti-George Weah. That's the best I can do.
Thank you so much, Rodney. A hand of love. Into action. At this stage, we've sat too long, so let's listen to Nazi Man to come and stand up as we gradually move toward the end of the program. Yeah, we got 4 here. Yeah. You want to put it together for here?
The writing of this book was, the song that I did for this book was like amazing. Wrote me and asked me, said, Nancy, I got a project and I need you to write this song about this book about George Weah. And then I asked him, I said, why you choose me? They got a lot of artists in Liberia. And he told me, he said, Nasi, I'm listening to a lot of musicians in Liberia, but I know your ability. I know your style of writing. I understand your composition. And I need you to do this project for me. And I told him, thank you. And I honored the invitation. And this was what I came up with. Keep it the struggles on the road. On the mountains, down the valley, yes, he has to go. Vision in hands was in his soul. That is how he had to let the story go. That is how he had to let his story blow. From Gibraltar to the seas of the presidency. Every day he have a price he have to pay. But they never forget the road is rocky like a floor. Oh yes, they never forget the road is rocky like. His name, Don from Gibraltar, the ghetto superstar, the boy from Gibraltar, who ruled his nation at last. I will build hospitals, I will build roads, and there will be good and quality education. I will put lights on the poles, and there will be cleaners. From Gibraltar to the seats of the presidency. Every day he got a price he has to pay. But don't you forget, the road is riding like a flower. Well, don't you forget, the road is riding like a flower. Somebody call me his name, the boy from Gibraltar, the ghetto superstar, the boy from Gibraltar, who rules his nation at last, the boy from Gibraltar, the soccer superstar, the boy from Gibraltar. Gibraltar to the streets of Morocco, every front line, every hood, every corner, investing money, every mind and power. He's a is really conquering the world, serving out his country as a good real ambassador. Every day there's a price to pay. Every move you make, a sacrifice is made. But never forget, the road is rocking like a flow. Well, never forget. Somebody call me his name, the boy from Gibraltar, the ghetto superstar, the boy from Gibraltar, who rules his nation at last, the boy from Gibraltar, the soccer superstar, the boy from Gibraltar. Hey! Was elected as the head of state, with so much effort, but I got them as so big, who wanna make it government and look so sick, with too much corruption, shit and put on them day. Now Babylon will put them kids down in the kids. It's only rest of purpose like what Paul man says today. Every day we have a price we have to pay. And every move we make a sacrifice is made. Never forget, the road is right.
This one is called All African. You know, I'm Nasty Man, Musical Global Ambassador for Anti-Corruption in the World by Transparency International, GMR. And I represent Liberia when it comes to anti-corruption, when it comes to speaking truth to power, when it comes to music. All right? So we're always speaking for our people. And this one goes like, unity is all we need, all Africa, and all Africa. And so we tell you it's unity, is all we need, all Africa, and all Africa. Hear it. And from the top of my Kilimanjaro, I'm shouting out. Souls of the innocent ones are crying out. While poverty and corruption dividing us. Wasting exploitations killing us. Innocent people dying for no cause. They use their religions to control us. They use us. They turn around, confuse us. They turn our leaders' heads against us. Yes. They're talking about peace and let's see this war. They're talking about love and let's see this hate. You see it mistreat and so much other say. Is this the kind of life that you want to slave? To kill one another each and every day. It's no more love for humanity. And so much of love for the vanity. Leading us insanity. Arise, O you mothers. So the child of the island protect us. So the child of the island unite us. Liberians, Nigerians, South Africans and Somalians. We are all Africans. All Africans, Angolians, Algerians, Ghanaians and Ivorians, we are all Africans, all Africans. I leave you with this.
Thank you so much. Nasty Man, thank you. Born from Gibraltar. Thank you so much. Item here, after which we'll have the bowl signing. Still, some of you would like to do that back there. The acknowledgements and closing remarks, and we'll call on Agatha Joseph, the event planner, to do that.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. First of all, I want to acknowledge Bella Casa. Are you still in the room? All right, he's not here, but this is on film. Could you please give him a round of applause for allowing us to be on this stage? Also, there are two beautiful women in the back that I just met. I met them today for the first time, and we put all of this together. So I do want to recognize Lavetta and Jeffine. If you could stand up and give them a round of applause. And then I see your aunts in the front. I will be remiss if I don't say thank you to Auntie Muriel. We thank you for Maureen and for here, and you're able to see him, and I'm sure you're awfully proud of him. And to each and every one of you that took your time, resources, and money to come here this evening, I want to thank you for encouraging Rodney to become even more of a journalist than he already is. I trust there's going to be much more to see. So if you haven't purchased a book as a gift to a friend or a younger person, especially a young African, I didn't say Liberian, a young African, I encourage you to do so. We have the hardback for $20. We have limited edition. Only 80 were printed. We have about 7 or 8 more left. Rodney has agreed to donate some of those proceeds to help even the people right here in Liberia. So if you haven't purchased a book, you got one today with your ticket, right? So there's still an opportunity for you to gift someone another book. Ladies in the back, and get a copy for a friend. Tonight, MC Caro, Nashaman, I know I'm going to forget some of them. I apologize, it's not intentional. But I see everybody here enjoying the music, and there's much more to do. So please, 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 stay a little while. There's more food and drinks in the back. They're all free, so drink wisely because you have to drive. We want to make sure everyone comes home. We appreciate you. And listen, y'all, it's time for us to have a good time. Are you ready to have a good time? I didn't hear y'all. Are you ready to have a good time? Yeah. Are you ready to have a good time? Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming. Thanks to all of you. We got food there. We got drink back there. Thanks for the band, the Magic. Magic, how you call it? The Magic Sound Band. Thanks to the Magic Sound Band. And thanks to everybody for coming.
If you have not gotten an opportunity to have your book autographed because we came a little bit late, Rodney is going to be right back at that table, ready, waiting to autograph your book. So if you have not gotten your book autographed, please see him at the back and do an autograph.
So as we're sitting and going around serving, we'll call Kobazi. Where is Kobazi? Kobazi will come and do something for us. Kobazi will come and stand us up. And you know, that's it. Where is the Kobazi man? Kobazi will come to do it for us.
with you.